This is in response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Wednesday, April 29th, 2015. The Truth About Baltimore, Part 2, or as I would like to say, Part Deux. Now, again, the first thing Billy wants to do is, again, gain his credibility in saying that it's a tragic loss and that it's hurting mostly African Americans. And but then he wants to come back to the fact that they have to turn themselves around. They have to learn how to compete to win. They have to learn how to be respectful. They have to stop. They have to not accept being impoverished and move out of that type of thing. And that the government, of course, cannot create prosperity or provide prosperity. But I would like to make a quick point. Yes, the government can provide the opportunities that prosperity can be greatly enhanced by a number of things. Early childhood education, school lunch programs, extended school days, more athletics, more after-school activities for children, etc., jobs program, mentoring programs, etc. Things that Mr. O'Reilly will not mention at all. It's all about personal responsibility, personal behavior. The government can't provide anything, and you have to compete to win. Now, he goes on to talk about the economic losses that will be suffered in Baltimore. He says that conventions are pulling out. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. The convention center is way downtown. But, and of course, if you consider that the police were caught off guard, I have another rant coming up on that. Specifically, if you they will not be caught off guard for any conventions or anything else that's coming up. They will not lose that. They will not lose that kind of money. All right, but there was a lot of money lost by the Orioles not being able to play yesterday, and we're going down to Tampa Bay for their games over the weekend. And of course, there are a lot of young people who work for the stadium. They only work 81 times a year, so obviously they probably need that money. So it's a loss to them. Yes, it really, really is. So there is some economic loss, but Billy indicates it take years to recover. I'm not really sure. And then, of course, Billy takes it. It's going to take years to recover, and therefore there's going to be job losses, and there's going to be increased crime. Yes, that can obviously happen. But if government, the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, the federal government says we need to change, we need to provide more resources, we need to help create a better economic opportunity here and everywhere in the United States, it might not take years to recover. It might take a very small time to recover. But again, Billy wants to go to the most negative aspect of it completely right away. So. And again, just as in yesterday's talking point from Billy, he has one line on police brutality. Just says that it should not be accepted. He doesn't talk about the institutional aspect of a police state. He doesn't talk about police brutality. He doesn't talk about targeting. He doesn't talk about profiling. He doesn't talk about pulling people over because they have tinted windows like my son has been many times. And as one of my son's friends who is black has been pulled over many, many times, strictly because of tinted windows. Because as the young black man said to me one time, I said, Michael, he got a new Audi, not a new Audi, he had an Audi, and it was like a 15 or 20-year-old Audi. And I said, Michael, what happened to the Bromobile, which he had like one of those 1996 Impalas or what was it, Malibu? Not a Malibu. We had a big Impala, tinted windows. And he says, you know something? Ever since I got rid of that car, meaning the Impala, and I've been driving this Audi, I haven't been pulled over once. So don't tell me there isn't profiling going on. But he only wants to talk about one line about police brutality and that it needs to stop. Nothing about how it happens, how it can be corrected. Again, resources need to be put in place, new education for policing, community programming, all of that stuff. And then he goes on again to blame, to indicate that, it's hard for them to make these type of changes because, the mayor's black, the chief of police is black, the city council is black. And of course, I think this is really an egregious statement, I think, for me. It's that they can't play the race card, meaning that the poor blacks in the area can't play the race card because poor, pitiful me, because all their elected leaders are black, which again is just really egregious, something I just can't fathom that someone with that intelligence such as Billy would make that statement. But he never disappoints, does he? So again, Billy wants to go back to personal behavior. It's the failure, it's personal behavior, it's inconsideration, it's disrespect, it's unmotivation, it's all of this stuff, all based on personal behavior. And if you can't change that, you're never going to get ahead. Nothing to do with any of the other things that I just talked about. And of course, government cannot create any type of opportunities. And it's, again, bad parents, bad city council, bad government, bad police, whatever. Not to know, he did say police force. Then blames the Dems because the Democrats have run Baltimore City for a number of years. And, again, it's their fault. It's the blacks' fault. It's the city council. It's the police. It's the mayor because they're black. It's the black people in the ghettos, in the inner city, in public housing, where no one is employed, where drugs are rampant, where there's all kinds of dilapidated housing. That just creates that type of thing. And of course, that's all Billy wants to talk about. He doesn't want to talk about that. All he wants to talk about is that, hey, let's just continue to blame the blacks. Now, I will bring up one other quick thing. I usually don't watch Billy's next segment where he brings two people on. He brought on two people, both black, one a gentleman from a radio station in Baltimore. I think the other one was a reverend. I'm not really sure. And the reason why I hate this, and I really don't think no one should really go on Billy's show, is that the first thing out of his line, that Mr. Gray had been arrested 20-some times. You agree with that? The first thing he wants to do is indicate that it really was Mr. Gray's fault, that the police stopped him, and that he ran away, and that he got killed. He got murdered by the police. See, he doesn't want to look at it that way. He doesn't want to look at how we can correct this situation, how we have to analyze it, how we can make changes to make things better. No, he wants to go back to Mr. Gray and the fact he was arrested 20 times. Again, he wants to blame the victim. And that's what he does all the time. And it really needs to stop.